Some homes whisper, others roar. But a few, rare and timeless, speak straight to the soul. The Craftsman Barndominium isn't just a house. It's a story carved in wood, forged in steel, and wrapped in the warmth of tradition. It carries the quiet strength of the barn, with its bold, open presence. Yet it also carries the delicate artistry of the craftsman spirit, where every detail feels intentional, personal, almost sacred. When you look at it, you don't just see walls and beams. You see a philosophy of living, a belief that a home should be honest, enduring, and deeply human. This isn't the kind of design that shouts for attention. It doesn't need to. Instead, it pulls you in gently, like a familiar melody you didn't realize you knew by heart. The wide gables, the strong porch columns, the timber that feels alive under your hand. Each piece of it speaks of care, of patience, of a time when building wasn't about speed, but about soul. There's something magnetic about it, something that makes you pause, even if just for a moment, and imagine yourself stepping onto that porch at the end of a long day. The scent of cedar, the comfort of stone beneath your feet, the stillness of a place that feels both timeless and alive. What makes this design unforgettable isn't just the way it looks, it's the way it feels. It's the way it settles deep into your bones, reminding you that beauty doesn't have to be loud and strength doesn't have to be cold. It's a home that carries memory even before it's lived in. And that's the secret of the Craftsman Barndominium. It doesn't just stand tall. It beats, quietly but powerfully, like a heart. Stay with me, and you'll see why this home feels less like architecture and more like a promise. Did you know that 70% of homeowners feel their space doesn't reflect their style? Don't be part of that statistic. Subscribe and start designing a home that truly feels yours. The Craftsman movement was never about excess. It was born in quiet rebellion against the machine, against the rush of mass production, against the hollow feeling of things made without care. It stood for honesty, for the human hand, for the beauty of simplicity. Every joint, every carving, every line carried a kind of reverence, not just for the craft, but for the life it would hold. Now imagine that spirit, gentle, intentional, woven into the soul of a barndominium. The barndo, by nature, is raw. It rises from humble origins, broad steel frames, cavernous interiors, a structure built for strength and purpose. It doesn't pretend. It doesn't decorate. It simply is. But when these two worlds meet, something extraordinary happens. The rugged openness of the barn softens under the touch of craftsman detailing. Wide beams and soaring rafters are given warmth through hand-hewn wood. Strong, simple lines are balanced by the poetry of carved trims and the intimacy of built-ins designed with care. It's like pairing calligraphy with ironwork, opposites, yet in harmony. The barn gives you freedom, the vast expanse to live boldly. The craftsman gives you grounding, a reminder that beauty lies in the details. Together, they become more than architecture. They become a philosophy you can walk inside. This blending of traditions tells a story larger than design. It speaks of resilience and tenderness, of strength that knows how to bend, of beauty that doesn't shout but lingers softly. It reminds us that a home doesn't have to choose between muscle and grace. It can hold both. The roots of this dream stretch deep, carrying echoes of fields and workshops, of open skies and patient hands. And in that union, you find not just shelter, but meaning, a home that is honest, enduring, and profoundly human. A beautiful home is not a dream. It's an art, and you're the artist. Subscribe and start creating spaces that speak to the soul. The first impression of a craftsman-inspired barndominium is never loud. It doesn't clamor for attention. It draws you in with quiet confidence. Broad gabled roofs stretch wide against the sky, sturdy and grounding, like open arms waiting to embrace. They carry with them a sense of permanence, of a place built not just to stand, but to stay. Beneath those roofs, you notice the honesty of exposed rafters, strong bones revealed rather than hidden. There's no pretense here, no disguise. What you see is what holds the structure together, a reminder that true beauty often lies in what is most real. Your eyes fall next to the tapered porch columns, solid yet graceful. They rise from stone bases, carrying the weight above them with dignity, while wood trims soften the edges, lending warmth and texture. These columns don't just hold up a porch, they hold up a promise that the home behind them is one of balance, where strength and gentleness meet. The earth-toned siding blends seamlessly with its surroundings, whispering harmony with the land instead of shouting over it. And then, there are the barn doors, grand in scale, practical in function, yet reimagined with a touch of refinement. They honor the Barndominium's agricultural roots while opening effortlessly to modern life. Tradition and convenience, hand in hand. And here's the feeling that lingers most: arrival. When you pull into the driveway, it doesn't greet you like a structure. It welcomes you like an old friend. The kind of welcome that melts the weight off your shoulders, the kind that makes the air feel easier to breathe. This is more than a facade. It's an invitation, a whisper that says, "You belong here." The exterior of a Craftsman barndominium doesn't just show you where the walls begin. It shows you where home begins. Transform your home, transform your life. Subscribe now, and let's create spaces you'll love forever. Step inside, and the first thing you feel is space. Space that breathes, space that lifts you. The living room opens wide beneath vaulted ceilings, timber beams stretching overhead like the ribs of a cathedral. There's a reverence here, but it isn't formal. It's comforting. Those beams, raw and proud, remind you that shelter can also be beautiful. The air feels alive with warmth, not from machines or gadgets, but from the textures themselves. Wood that carries stories in its grain. Floors that feel steady beneath your steps. Walls softened by natural light spilling through broad Craftsman windows. Panes framed with care, casting a golden glow that shifts with the day. In the corners, you see the handiwork, the cabinetry shaped by patient hands, built-in shelves that seem less like additions and more like part of the soul of the home. A stone fireplace anchors the room, solid and timeless. A hearth that whispers of evenings spent gathered close. A firelight reflecting in quiet eyes. But it isn't just the materials that speak, it's what they invite. Imagine the dining table, heavy with food and laughter, voices overlapping in joy. Picture the stillness of an early morning, coffee in hand, sunlight threading through the beams, silence broken only by the soft creak of wood. Hear the echoes of children racing across the floor, the rhythm of footsteps, the stories etched into every corner. Because this isn't square footage. This is a memory factory. A place where the walls don't just stand, they listen. Where the ceilings don't just rise, they hold. Every detail, every crafted element is less about perfection and more about presence. The heart of a Craftsman barndominium isn't just designed to be seen. It's designed to be lived in, to hold the weight of everyday moments, to turn the ordinary into something unforgettable. The Craftsman barndominium lives at the meeting point of two worlds, the world of tradition and the world of today. It carries the heartbeat of the past, yet it leans quietly into the future. This balance is what makes it not just a design, but a living philosophy. You notice it in the way energy efficiency is woven into its bones. Insulated walls and thoughtful layouts that hold warmth in winter release it in summer. Windows placed not just for beauty, but for light, for air, for a rhythm with nature that feels both old and timeless. Efficiency here isn't about cutting corners. It's about honoring resources, the same way the craftsman spirit has always honored materials. And then there's the technology, smart systems tucked away like secrets, invisible until you need them. Climate control that adjusts without a whisper. Lighting that softens as the evening draws in. Security that wraps the home in unseen arms. Yet none of it intrudes, none of it steals the soul. It rests quietly behind handcrafted wood, behind stone and grain, letting the human touch remain the focus. The open floor plans invite freedom. They let life flow without walls to confine it. But within that openness, there are still gentle corners, small nooks carved out for intimacy. A reading chair by a window, a bench by the fireplace, a desk that catches morning light. Even in expansiveness, there is space for closeness. And here lies the quiet question. How do you preserve soul while chasing convenience? How do you hold on to the warmth of tradition while opening your arms to the modern? The Craftsman Barndominium answers not with compromise, but with harmony. It reminds us that the past and present don't have to collide. They can coexist, like threads woven into the same fabric, creating something stronger, richer, and infinitely more human. Every dream, no matter how beautiful, carries its weight. And the Craftsman Barndominium is no exception. It is easy to be swept away by its charm, its warmth, its perfect marriage of strength and detail. But behind that beauty, there are truths, realities that quietly ask for patience, for care, for sacrifice. In humid climates, wood can swell, stone can gather moss, finishes can demand more than a passing glance. The very materials that give the home its soul also require tending, as if reminding us that nothing alive, nothing real, remains flawless without love. Maintenance isn't a burden, it is a dialogue, a relationship with the house itself.